Hello and welcome to my late night show, Joy of Working. I'm Chaya Srivatsa here, sharing with you my work experiences, some tips, some anecdotes, and some lighter moments. Yesterday we were in the Big Apple and I told you what happened there. Now I'm coming back to Earth. I want to share with you some of my very interesting interactions with my subjects as an independent journalist. That was also work, wasn't it? And the joy I got out of not only writing about them, but meeting them and having some very interesting experiences. Let me start with my favorite story. This was for a series that Deccan Herald had commissioned me to do. It was called The Stars of Yesteryears. They wanted me to feature all the older stars and talk to them about how they came in and what they did, etc. It was a very challenging thing because to get number one, then phone numbers was difficult. Second thing is to get an appointment was even more difficult. And since most of them were either shooting for a movie or staying in places far away, accessibility was also an important. But I couldn't let go this amazing chance. So I started off with Sohrab Modi. Have you heard of him? Well, my generation had at least heard of him. I haven't seen any of his movies or anything because they were like way back. But he was living in Colaba, which was close to where I live. So I said, let me start with him, and he was the senior most person. So I went. He lived alone in this huge apartment. I won't even call it apartment, it was more like a mansion on Colaba Causeway. He opened the door. He himself opened the door. Shook hands with me, and I thought my knuckles would break. Huge man with a really, and he was in his 80s, and a really hard handshake he gave me. Aye, with such courtesy. I walked into this room which was beautifully, done up with all kinds of vintage furniture and spick and span and really beautiful furniture. So he spoke about his life. What a voice he had. Booming, booming voice, even at that age. He related all his journey. I'm not going to talk to you about those things. I'm just telling you about the kind of people I met and how it was. If you want to know more about these people whom I'm talking about, all you have to do is get my coffee table book, which has a compilation of all these articles. Please don't think I'm trying to sell my book. I'm just trying to give you information. All right. Coming back to Sohrab Modi. Spent nearly an hour with him talking about his journey, and he saw me off. That was the first article which appeared in Deccan Herald, Sunday Herald, right on the front page, a full page with his huge photograph. Sohrab Modi. The next person I went to was again in Colaba. See, I was trying to, minimize my commute. So I first picked on those who were close by. And this was Durga Kote, an extremely polite lady who gave me an appointment. It was sometime in the afternoon at 12 o'clock. When I reached her house, her butler opened the door and he was looking very agitated. He said, Madam, please help karo. So I said, Kya hua? He said, Ma'am saab ka tabiyat, she's very, very unwell and nobody's at home because her son and they were all gone to Alibag for a picnic and madam is alone at home. I don't know what to do. I said, okay, please take me to her. She was on her bed writhing with pain. The first thing I could think of was to get a doctor for her. And the first person I could think of was Commander Pushpa Deshpande, who was a doctor in the naval dockyard, who lived in the building next door. So I used the telephone and called up Pushpa and told her, Pushpa, can you please come here? She said, yeah, I'm coming home for lunch. I can come and look her up. She rushed, she saw, she gave her whatever, an injection, whatever. She said it's food poisoning. And anyway, all's well that ends well. So Pushpa went away, and I told the butler, please tell madam, I'll talk to her tomorrow. 2 days later, I called up Durga Koteji, and she said, Beti, you saved my life, because the butler didn't know what to do and I was alone. I said, madam, it's my privilege. You've done so much to entertain all of us for so many years. This is the least I could do. And Pushpa Deshpande refused to take any fees from her. She said again, it was my privilege to treat you. देखो क्या क्या होता है. The next person I want to talk about is somebody who cured me of my asthma. Can you believe it? Not a doctor. It was Dada Muni, as he was called, Mr. Ashok Kumar. I was to meet him in Bhalla's bungalow, it was called. I mean, I believe most of the shoots take place there. And this was, of course, in the suburbs. And I went there. When I went there, the watchman told me, madam, the scene has been shifted. It's in Mr. Pran's house, but Ashok Kumarji has left his car and driver for you. He'll take you there. What courtesy! So I went to Mr. Pran's house. So I got to meet Mr. Pran also. The Pran, who was a bad man in all the movies, was the most polite gentleman I had met. So I had this interview with Mr. Ashok Kumar. When I was writing, he just touched my throat. And I was wondering what he was doing. He said, do you have asthma? I said, yeah, I do. He said, okay, I'll give you a prescription, because he was a homeopath, a practicing homeopath. I'll give you a prescription. You go to that shop in Princess Street. Tell him I sent you. Take this for 6 months. And I'm telling you the regime you have to follow very strictly. And he told me about how I have to walk, how I had to even jog a little, and also not drink anything cold, don't drink coffee. Anyway, I wasn't a coffee drinker. So he gave me a whole lot of don'ts more than do's. He said, after 6 months, come and meet me and you'll be fine. And he gave me this prescription. And I said, thank you very much. Just then, guess who walked in? Smita Patil. And he's whispered into my ear, you know what? Tum zara sa shakal milti hai usse. Ah, okay, that was a great compliment for me. Anyway, we finished the interview. I went next day to the Princess Street, bought that medicine, followed to the T what he told me to do. Believe me, in 6 months, I was totally cured. 6 months later, I called him up. This time, he was shooting in a jail. I went there to meet him, and I told him, Dada Moni, thank you so much. I'm fine now. I'm perfectly cured. He had asthma too. I said, but Dada Moni, why are you coughing? He said, Beti, you did what I told you. I don't do what I tell people. I smoke, I drink, I do everything I shouldn't be doing. To kaisa jayega? Look at that. Physician, heal thyself first. But anyway, I'm eternally grateful to Mr. Ashok Kumar, because since then, I've never ever had an attack. So dear friends, did you like these? I'll tell you some more of them, some more, because you're familiar with these people, I know you will like it. Okay? So I'll be with you tomorrow with some more stories of the stars of yesteryears. Okay? Bye.